Hi, this is Brittany Canaski, and you're listening to Casual Babble.
Welcome to Casual Babble.
Hey, it's your boy, BC².
This conversation could get a little Now,
weird.
I'm not trying to say that I'm a nerd, but we are definitely about to get our nerd on, so... This is Casual Babble.
And there, I know that. Awesome. So, welcome. Hello, you beautiful individual. Welcome back to Casual Babble. It's BC Babbles, and in the studio today, I've got a very special guest. I met her through the network at Huga, where you know, of course, I am currently a member, and I'm so happy to have her in the studio. Please welcome Brittany Canaski.
Hi,
How you doing? How you doing today?
I love your facial expression as you say my last name, Canaski. Yes, you nailed it.
growing up as somebody else who has a last name that's not always the easiest, I'm like, okay, let me make sure I'm putting effort into it, make sure I'm getting like the green light from the guest.
Yes.
So
We're good.
Nailed
it.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
And that's why my on-air name does not include my last name. So just like, don't worry about it. BC's.
Yeah,
just
right.
do BC. That's all you need. It's all good there.
And it's funny, we have the same initials. I'm also BC.
You are
I don't know if
BC
you noticed
too.
that, like-
I don't know why I didn't realize it before now either.
We're like BC² today, coming at
BC
you.
squared, yes. Future episodes will have that little BC squared in the top if you are in the studio
All
again.
right. Yeah, we'll get a logo. It'll be
Yes.
legit.
Oh
It's
my
all good.
God. I'll make it like I do make every artwork for every episode. So I'm gonna like let's do like a little logo for
Okay.
sure.
Cool. It'll be a whole series. It's a whole thing.
Well, welcome to Saturday. Thank you for being here on a Saturday.
Yes,
How
yes.
was your week leading up to today? Easy week, crappy week,
It was a good week.
good week, good
Yeah.
week.
I'm like trying to think, I feel like I might have blacked it out a little bit. I'm like trying to think of what happened, but I think
Understandable.
it's generally been pretty good week.
Yes.
And like a lot of good things. And yeah, meeting a lot of good people. Yeah, I think that's why I'm a little slow this morning, honestly. I was telling you, like, had to get the coffee in me a little bit earlier today, but I did a bunch of like networking events and there's a lot of
Ooh,
socializing
yes.
in person. And
I
I'm
miss
still,
those.
I know, I'm still like readjusting to that post-COVID, whatever we're
Yeah.
in right now, of like, seeing people in person, but it takes more out of me now.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I specifically didn't do anything last night, so I could be more energetic today. 'cause
You have more reserves prepared.
Yes, exactly. I'm an extroverted introvert, so I know I need my alone time to like recharge, so I have to like space out my social interactions.
Balance is very important to be
Yes.
able to survive in this world. Like,
Yes.
I don't think that can ever be understated.
Yeah.
So I'm happy
honestly.
that you are aware of that. I'm still figuring out my levels of introversy and extroversy. I'm not sure those are words, but
Sure.
for the sake of the argument, we'll just use those words for now. But yeah, I'm still figuring that out, and I don't have it. It's a process.
It really
like,
is.
how much can I give? How much do I need to sit back and take care of?
Right.
Like,
yeah, and I try to like block my calendar specifically for that of like
See, I
not
should-
doing too much.
I
'cause
should do things like that. I don't do that.
It's so helpful because I love to say yes to everyone for everything and do all the things. And
Yeah.
then like by 2 days or 3 days into it, I'm like, I cannot talk to another human being. I can't. Like, you don't want to talk to me at that point.
Right.
So it's like, all right, ease into it, Brittany. Yeah.
Now, do you prefer like organizing things via digital platforms, like digital calendars, digital memos, or like
Mm.
physical things like you can touch, you can like flip the pages, you can write down on them?
Yeah, I'm a combo.
Okay.
So I live by my Google Calendar for
Gotcha.
for work and personal life. Like if you want me to show up somewhere, like I need to put on my calendar or else I won't be there.
Fair.
But then, and that's like, my weekly, monthly view. And then more on a day-to-day basis, I use a paper planner. So I like to
Okay.
actually like write down my to-do list for the day and check things off and have that sweet, sweet gratification of checking off my to-do list.
Man, the moment where you realize something's been taken care of and like you don't have to go back to it. You shouldn't have to go back to it, I will say. Sometimes things
Yeah.
switch up on you. But it's been done. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's such a gratifying feeling. But does that say something about how like the work world is nowadays, where like it's such a gratifying moment to be able to check something off or just scribble something out because it's finally done?
Yeah, I'd say that's a great point. It really is. I think it's just our society. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's Americans in general. Like, we thrive on achievement. And
Yes.
we always have to prove that we're doing something. Like, we have to be productive even on the weekends. We're like, these are all
Yeah.
the things I did this weekend. Or this is all the stuff that I got done in a day. And it's like you
Yes.
brag about it. Like, why?
Right.
Like, I like to brag about napping.
I'd be very jealous of someone who's able to brag about napping because I don't do it.
I'm such a good sleeper. I'm I brag about how quickly I fall asleep, how well I can nap.
Okay, I'm starting to hate you. Let's stop. You're right, one-upping me just a little too much this morning.
Change the topic.
Super green over here with envy. Like, granted, I can't. So, like, do you do like a planned nap thing? Like, will you block you said you block yourself around pretty much everything, but do you block the napping?
Sometimes, but it's more like if I'm not feeling great that day or if I'm just tired or whatever it is, I will block my calendar for a few hours because I don't know how long the nap might be. Yeah. So I'm just like, well, here we go. I'm out for the day. But if I had like a client call or something, I'm not going to nap because I obviously want to show up for my clients. I need to show up for them. So it's a selective napping, but definitely on the weekends. Like usually Saturdays like are my horizontal days where I need to get a nap in. I need to be a little lazy. And I can socialize a little bit. Gotcha.
See, I have zero control over my napping. Like and it usually hits me. I don't ask for it. It hits me when I'm supposed to be productive. Like especially during the week where I'm supposed to be producing an episode. I'll get home typically around 6:30ish because I get up at 5:30. And then I'll sit on my bed and then I wake up at 1:30 in the morning. It's like, damn it. I told my guests this would be live today.
Yeah.
Well, here comes excuse number 2.
Here it comes.
I never get it done on time, which I hate. But yeah, I'll and it could just be that my bed's too comfortable. I got plush blankets.
Yeah.
Because plush blankets aren't the shit. Ooh. I don't know if you have I don't know if like people who are not aware of plush blankets, but they are really something else.
It's like the really, really fuzzy.
Like, I don't know if velvety is the right word because I don't think is it technically velvet? Maybe velvet a little bit. Well, no. Velvet's not like super soft, but it's like very like
flat.
Very flat, yeah.
But yeah, the plush is
but plush is like you can kind of run your fingers through it a little bit.
Okay, like grass, but not grass.
Like half the height of your fingers is like plush blankets, but yeah, I hit the bed and I'm out for 5 hours, and it's really counterproductive and counterintuitive because I like to I'm trying to work on my consistency. So it's like, BC, what the hell?
What are you doing to me?
Like, I know you've been sitting in a chair all day, but just sit in the chair for like 2 more hours, and you can actually go to sleep feeling accomplished.
Right. For the evening.
You can check it off. There you go. And it's not even that I missed dinner. It's that, damn it, I didn't produce my episode, and I have people who are wanting to either hear themselves or see themselves on YouTube. It's like, sorry.
Sorry. Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Try again.
Fingers crossed. Hey, manager, can you make sure my work day's not crappy so I can go home and be productive?
Yes.
I should be productive at work too, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, you can't always control it.
You really can't. And that probably is a whole other issue that requires its own conversation, to be honest. But today, I'm trying to make Saturday about you. Oh. So let's make it about Brittany. Oh. That's why you're here. So you are currently, and you've had several different labels to your name or titles to your name in the past, but currently you are a speaker, you're a coach, and the founder of Hello Velocity.
Yes.
So tell us about Hello Velocity. It's kind of core statement, it's not angle, that sounds suspicious, but like it's the avenue that it's on and what it strives to accomplish on the day-to-day.
Yeah. So my core mission is really empowering ambitious millennials to accelerate their goals. So I love talking about big, scary life goals with people and creating like a safe space for them to actually say them out loud for the first time. Like, that's one of my favorite things is when people say to me, oh, my God, I never said that out loud. Like, this is crazy. Or,
like, say a goal out loud?
Yeah, saying something like, oh, my God, I've never said that out loud. It's something I've always dreamt of, but never felt okay to even take it seriously. So it's creating that space for people and helping them first uncover maybe what those goals are.
Yeah.
Again, creating that safe space to be able to be like, dig a little bit deeper than maybe what they do on a day-to-day basis and then figure out how to accelerate them on their own terms. So
right. So you're hired.
Yeah.
You're hired.
Okay.
You're hired.
Look at that.
There we go. So what do you find? So I guess it's almost kind of crazy to think that someone can have such a block when it comes to simply verbalizing a goal. And you'd think that, well, goals are just like, well, I just want to do this, do that. But I guess when it comes to like what one wants to kind of craft their life as, what do you find is typically constitutes that block for somebody that you work with?
Yeah, for the most part, it's a lot of people are used to making goals on the surface level. Yeah. And it's usually very like externally based.
Okay, yeah,
it's based on how you were raised, like what your family and friends think of you and, talk to you about, what you soak up from media and what feels maybe like a safe route.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, and why I focus on millennials especially, because I feel like we're in this like interesting middle ground between like the baby boomers who are very traditional American dream. I'm going to use air quotes a lot. American dream.
American
like,
dream, yeah.
Okay, you go to college, you get a good job, you get married, have 2 kids. You better save up so that you can retire and then maybe have a little bit of fun.
Right.
And now as millennials, I feel like we're starting to challenge that and be like, wait, I don't want to have the same job for 30, 40 years.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
that sounds miserable. And I don't know what it is that I want to do. So it's helping them figure out it's okay to do something different. It's okay to not go on that normal path. And then now we're seeing Gen Z just completely blow the lid off that.
Yeah, they're like, what is the
like,
structure?
Yeah, like, why would I go to college? Why would
Exactly.
I spend $50,000 for 4 years and then get a different job that doesn't even apply to what I learned?
It's a legitimate question, too. I mean, for the most part, I came out with a broadcasting and electronic media broadcasting, heavy radio broadcasting degree, and I really haven't gotten to do any radio in like the 7 years I've been out of college. So it's like, fair question, very fair question. Now, when you talk about like service level and how most of the goals are kind of set there, does that also imply or involve like there's not a lot of kind of planning out as well that kind of keeps them from wanting to officially kind of enunciate what they ultimately want to be seeing with their lives? Or how does that, what other kind of layers are there to that?
Yeah, I can see that too. It is the other piece that's coming to mind with the externally based goals is a lot of it is like you want to be able to say you did the thing.
Yeah.
Or like you want to achieve, again, going back to that conversation, like everyone wants to achieve. Like for me at one point it was like, I just want this title on LinkedIn to say, oh, I'm a director, and like, you know, kind of brag about it or whatever it is. And a lot of people have those goals. But when it's based on something like that, like you're just trying to prove a point or you're just trying to kind of show off or you're just, you know, again, externally based for other people and it's not for you, then you're not as excited to go after it. So you're not creating those plans. You're not actually motivated on a day-to-day basis. It's very reactionary instead of proactive.
Now, alternatively, with working with millennials and kind of working with their goals, have you come across a number of them that are superbly outspoken about it, who have either kind of done that work previously to engaging with you, or who just have no filter? Essentially have no filter when it comes to their goals and what they conceive to be what their ultimate aspirations are. Yeah,
it's interesting because I do get the other end of the spectrum where it's more the overachievers and perfectionists who have the big goals, and they come in like guns blazing, like here's what I want to do, like we're gonna do this, this, and this, and they're like telling me how it's gonna go, which is fine. You have a plan, like let's do it. So then what we end up working on is more that deeper work of like, hey, how are you going to take care of you while you're doing all this?
Sure, yeah.
Because that's how we're going to actually get there in a way that's more exciting instead of, for these people, they're typically used to the burnout and they're just go, 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 go. They're doing all the things for everyone around them. They're doing all the things for these exciting, you know, scary goals they have for themselves, but then they're not actually slowing down and taking care of themselves. So they're not enjoying the process along the way. Yeah. So traditionally they could get their goals done on their own, but not in a way that's actually sustainable in the long term.
Gotcha. So there seems to be quite a bit of like psychology that goes into your work with being this life coach for millennials. And I was working up to a question there. That train found a different set of tracks, and where that one's going, I'm not sure anymore.
It'll loop back around.
It'll loop back around at some point. I think I was going to go for like, so when you say like, if you were to like label different elements of your work and kind of different focuses that you balance out, like between business management, kind of the psychology of being an entrepreneur, and I guess goal planning. Yeah, let's try to come back at some other point. So, okay, let's still back into you. We'll wait for that train to fully loop around because it's not listening to my calls. So, prior to Hello Velocity, kind of what built you into it? So, you were a marketing consultant, freelance work recently. You also done work with Catalina USA. So, what triggered the thought, I want to help people craft and maneuver themselves in a healthy way to their goals? And then what was your process in cultivating that brand, that kind of imaging for yourself and then launching it?
Yeah. So it started a few years ago when I had my quarter life crisis, as most millennials have at some point in their lives, usually late 20s-ish. I was like 27 at the time.
Oh, okay. I just turned 29, so I'm not sure if I've had it yet, but go on.
Countdown is on.
Countdown, Jesus.
The clock is ticking. So I was in corporate America. I was doing marketing, and I was actually in the food industry, which is what my major was. It was business with concentration marketing and food industry strategy. Okay. Super specific. Actually landed the job that, a few years out of school, I landed a job in my field, was doing great, was good at it, was getting promoted, was working remotely at the time before COVID. So everyone was jealous of me, like, oh my gosh, your life's great. You work remotely, you get paid well, like you're doing all this cool stuff you actually wanted to do. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, had the dream, quote unquote, of what I, checking all the boxes. This is what I wanted to do and what I was supposed to be doing. And just woke up one day, as cliche as it sounds, and just like, do I really want to do this the rest of my life? Like, is this really my life now? Forever?
Ain't that a bitch too?
Yeah, it's like wait,
you were so settled and brain decided, new path time.
Yeah.
Different
really?
lifetime.
No, let's do more. So, but then, you have the frustration of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, how am I not grateful for this?
Right.
Like, you feel kind of guilty of like, why would I want anything more? This is a great life. And then I didn't know what to do about it. So I kind of struggled with it for a few months. And then I met a life coach here in Charlotte. She was a yoga teacher. I'd gone to her class.
Okay, cool.
And was following her on Instagram. And she started posting about coaching. And I'm like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is a life coach?
Right, right.
Okay, but I, trusted her. And we had a conversation. And it just blew my mind. Just our first conversation. Some of the questions she was asking. So I worked with her for 4 months and learned so much about myself and like what motivates me, what makes me unique as a person, and how I think differently than other people. And it helped me to not only change, how I show up at work, but in personal relationships, both like romantic, family, friends, everything. I took on new like side passion projects and hobbies and things just for fun. Started like new savings accounts for travel, which is like my number one passion. That kind of like came out through that process. So long story short, loved the process, was obsessed with everything I was learning about myself, and realized by the end, if I could help one person the way she helped me, that would be more fulfilling than anything I could ever do in corporate America. Yeah. So I started a year-long coach training program and learned so much more, of course, and like got really deep with myself, learning about myself, and then tools that I could use with clients, and, like how to build a business, essentially doing this. And then that was 2019 I started that, and it went into 2020 with COVID. So I just started, officially launched my business like February 2020. I did my first in-person workshop March 10th, 2020. And then the very next day, COVID was declared a global pandemic. Yeah. And we were all like, wait, what does that mean? And everyone went to the grocery store and bought toilet paper. And
oh my God. I forgot about that. Oh my God. I had to go to like sketchy parts of different towns I'd never been to before just to make sure my family had just like the next week taken care of. Like, what's going on? Like, granted, I was not one of them people like filling up the cart with just toilet paper. Like, I get it, we're scared, but let's be a little selfless out here, right? Like, and I think there were like pictures going around of like elderly people like trying to find like the basics, and there was nothing on the shelves. I'm like, I hope whoever was responsible for that sees this picture, right? That's horrible. Such a bizarre time. But weird timing. I definitely identify with that weird timing.
Yeah. Now I know it is divine timing or all of that because of COVID, that also, I took a few months to kind of figure out, what the hell is going on in the world.
Sure, yeah.
And take care of myself and my family and all of that. But then, a few months into it, my day job was getting really busy. And I don't know, I just realized like people need this work more now than ever because of COVID. A lot of people had more time to kind of have that self-reflection.
Sure, yeah.
You're like at home more, you're questioning life, you're questioning everything. You're like, oh my God, life is short. Like, is this really what I'm doing with the rest of my life? Right. So that's when I decided I had to quit my day job and go all in on this and see what could happen. So I left my day job October 2020 and have been going at it full force ever since.
So we'll talk about, there had to have been certain levels of like, what ifs that were plaguing you when you were approaching that decision. So talk about, I guess, some of the more significant what ifs that you had, you're contemplating, what it felt like to finally make that leap, and then how you just approached addressing those what ifs and countering them with, I guess, either the responses, I don't know if that's the right word, or just like the antithesis of those what ifs. How was that looking for you?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest what if, of course, when quitting your job to pursue your business is what if it fails? Literally, what would happen? So, and that's a tool I'd learned. I think it was from one of Tim Ferriss's books. I think it was his, but he says to like, okay, when it comes to worst case scenarios, write them all out. Write what would actually happen, like worst case scenario, what do you think would happen? And then what could you do in that situation? So
Gotcha.
I essentially did that, which was very helpful, because usually when you're just letting it swirl in your head, you're just like stressing yourself out more, and you're not addressing like what would happen. So for me, what if my business failed? It would be, my swirling in my head idea is like, oh my God, I'm going to be homeless. I'm literally going to be living in a cardboard box on the street.
Yeah.
And then I stopped and thought, okay, well, I actually lived with my fiance or boyfriend at the time. And so I had that conversation with him. Like, okay, financially, like if I'm not making enough money to split rent and groceries, whatever, like what would that look like? So we had that conversation of like, if he's willing to support me financially. And then of course my other like backup plan is like, if that relationship didn't work out and my parents live 30 minutes away, I'm like, I could move in with them and it'd be okay. So like actually playing out those scenarios helped a ton to just be like, it would be okay.
Right.
Like I'm not literally going to live in a cardboard box.
Because I guess otherwise leaving it up to just the what ifs and like not considering the details probably makes it a lot scarier.
Yeah, exactly.
And you leave yourself unprepared otherwise.
Right.
What other what ifs do you think were like? So that one seems to have been like started one here and it kind of like trickled out by itself to several different scenarios. What other, so I guess as far as like, okay, did you even have like a what if this works? And like, okay, I'm starting to see traction, movement. Okay, how do I take this positive and do you plan it out? Do you just keep running until there's like more of a buildup of positive in regards to either traction, income, or I guess awareness of the brand? And then you start to like invest that, I guess, good faith or that accumulated positive, if that makes any sense at all. And my brain was like, I think this makes sense. Go with it, BC. And then it comes out and it's like, what are you talking about? Use words, bro. It's Saturday. I've not had coffee yet. So you're running with bare minimum BC right now.
Bare minimum.
So, but yeah, like, did you have like, along with the negative what ifs, like a what if, okay, this starts to work. What do I do then? What do I plan?
Yeah. It's funny because what comes to mind is I didn't have that for the longest time. Like I'm just getting that now.
Oh, really?
Okay.
2
years into it. Is
realistic,
like,
yes.
I mean, I guess I've had it like sprinkled throughout the time, but it's more starting to be like, what if it does work? But then it goes into worst case scenario of what if it does work?
Sure,
so,
yeah.
Like a lot of it at the beginning was like, people are going to judge me. Like no one, or a lot of people don't not necessarily understand what a life coach is. So
Sure,
a lot of
yeah.
people judge that term to begin with. And then I do a lot of speaking events too. So there's that of like getting in the limelight is becoming my next, like, what if it works and I actually become a little like Insta famous or, you know, get a lot of followers from doing speaking gigs. And then I'm sort of like on a pedestal and like, oh, you can't say anything wrong because then you'll get canceled. That's the next version of like
cancel culture.
Yeah. What if I do well and then it's all taken away?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, the idea of like how something can just so immediately be like, poof, magician smoke bomb, gone.
Yeah.
So would you say now in regards to like the concern of like having this kind of platform built up socially, did you take particular steps to establish yourself in a way where nothing from you ever really seemed out of pocket, or like it would take a certain level of extraneous engagements to seem out of pocket for you, so that if something did occur, either with a public speaking moment or just a engagement moment with someone you were working with, to where there was like no backlash? Did that make sense? Probably not.
Not exactly.
Can you try
again?
So talking about like your be like if you like acquired a lot of social engagement and kind of again placed yourself on that pedestal, or like the engagement placed you on a pedestal. Maybe the better version for this is, so when talking to a client of yours about how to establish themselves, do you discuss, and if from your personal experience, discuss how to structure your boundaries as far as the way that you present yourself, the way they present themselves, so that people understand what to expect from somebody? Or do you kind of leave those boundaries for kind of interpretation?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think a lot of it is trusting yourself in the moment too, of like, what do you really need, especially when it comes to sharing online. And there's a lot of pressure to share everything.
Right.
Like, I think we're in such a society that people are literally now recording. I feel like all the video trends right now on TikTok are like, as you're putting your makeup on in the morning, like, let's talk about something important. I'm like, that puts way too much pressure on me. First of all, I don't do much makeup, so
same.
Same. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be that personal with my life. Like, I need those boundaries personally.
Sure,
again, being an extroverted introvert, like, I can't do too much of like my personal time because I need that bubble a little bit still. So I think it's knowing what works best for you and knowing, like, on a day-to-day basis, like, hey, I just can't show up on video today, or hey, I can't show up, whatever it is. Like, meet yourself where you're at.
Yeah.
But a good way to set up those boundaries or kind of check in with yourself, I always tell people, is being really clear on your values and using those as a place for making decisions. No matter if that's social media, if that's on a day-to-day basis, like at work. That's my number one recommendation I always give to people, is like being super clear what your values are and then using those to make decisions, especially when you're not sure what to do.
Gotcha.
So if it comes to excuse me.
You're good.
When it comes to showing up on social media and you're like, okay, why am I actually doing this? Is it reactive to something else going on? Like, there's a big trend, or like I feel pressured to do this?
Right.
Or is it something inside me that I really want to share and it's like aligned with my values and what's most important to me?
Gotcha. And do you believe in more of kind of like an immediate response, or like, okay, let's plan out the response. Let's make sure it's cultivated in the right message response?
Yeah, I think it depends, again, on the person, but
Yeah.
especially as like business owners, I think you really have to stop and think about it and again, make sure it's aligned with your values. And that's one of the biggest things I've struggled with over the last few years is there's so many big social movements that we're in the midst of, and so many big news items coming out, and people are reacting so quickly on social media and making an opinion made and like resharing stuff even in your Instagram stories. I'm like, I try to think of it from my business lens of, okay, I need to actually do the research and make sure this is a reputable source. I need to make sure that I fully agree with what is happening, on either side or whatever it is. Or so for me, instead of doing a lot of that, of like sharing like a straight up opinion on something or resharing something someone else shared, I tend to, again, align with my own personal values and my business values, is to help people navigate those difficult times when there's a big news story or there's social movement going on. It's like, hey, how are you checking in with you right now?
Right.
Like, shit is hitting the fan. Like, life is kind of crazy. Like, can you slow down and take a few minutes for you instead of continuing to swipe down the like doom spiral of Instagram? So like, for me, that's how I show up differently and in align with my values, instead of like feeding into the monster sometimes. It's like, no, let's all just like take a beat.
Right.
Let's take a deep breath.
People don't realize how slippery those slopes are. Like, those things are greased and you're wearing slippers. You're going to go down fast.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself on a side of TikTok that you did not want to be on.
Right.
Like, and the way those algorithms work, I feel like those algorithms work too well to get you on the side of TikTok you don't want to be on, and then take too long to get you off.
Right.
It's like, oops, you stepped your toe in it. Now you're infected. Sorry.
Right. It really is a
Enjoy your
downward
life.
spiral of like a
so
slide.
bad.
Oh my gosh, really.
So, and let's head into Hello Philosophy, which is your work, your coaching work here. And you have and if you do want to check out Brittany's work, swing over to hellovelocity.co. It's really awesome. It's a really great vibe for the website. I love it. Where'd you make this on?
Squarespace.
Oh, I need to go back to Squarespace.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make Wix work with their new editor X, but it's like, I don't know if it's the vibe I want.
Yeah, I haven't heard any good things about Wix, to be honest with you.
I really don't. And I work with a lot of people who actually come into where I work when they've had previous Wix sites. And I've seen them, I'm like, okay, we'll work with you. We'll make you a new site. But yeah, I'm trying to make it work. But so your three main services you mentioned are the Level Up Goals, the coaching, and the speaking. Which one would you say people find you for most and are like wanting to kind of get in your purview for most?
Probably the challenge, the Level Up Your Goals challenge.
Do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So that one is definitely, I like it because it's such a like bite-sized example of coaching, and it's like the purpose behind it too is just to make it more accessible, like to make this work accessible to anyone, anywhere. at like a fraction of a cost of what it would look like working with me one-on-one. So
Sure.
it's taking all my one-on-one coaching learnings, and I essentially built an online course, but I call it a challenge because I like that it's a 4-week program, and it's really challenging yourself for people who are early in maybe the self-development process to dedicate time to themselves every single week for 4 weeks. That's the challenge, where people often will sign up for stuff like this and then they either never touch it or they touch it once or twice and they don't follow through on it. So I like the term challenge of like, okay, let's step up and let's like actually do it and follow through on it, instead of just saying you're going to do it, where a lot of people just like rack up online courses and never finish them.
So would you say this is kind of more like also not only a challenge in the sense of here are these different points to dedicate to yourself within this time frame, but also it's like, okay, if you make it through this challenge, you probably have what it will take for you to really dedicate yourself to this work that you want to do.
Yeah, it's like starting a new habit, so challenging yourself to do that time, but then to help it stick over time.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing about the challenge is that by the 4th week, you're actually making a plan for your goals.
Yeah.
So you'll have that plan to actually move forward with and continue the movement afterwards. And it's not just a 4-week only thing. It's like something you're setting yourself up in these 4 weeks, and then you can run with it through the rest of the year, honestly.
Gotcha. It's a foundation layer, essentially. And you said so it works best for people who are earlier in that development process for their platforms, essentially.
Yeah. Usually it's that. Usually it's people who maybe have a bunch of goals. They don't know like where to focus or how to prioritize, or they're not even sure exactly what their goals are. This will help you kind of take those, minutes and time to actually like slow down, reflect what works, what doesn't work, and like we talked about earlier, like the shallow versus going a little bit deeper with your goals. It helps you like think about goals in a completely different way than you probably ever have, in a way to inspire you to do new things that you probably hadn't thought of.
Nice.
So nice. It's very cool.
And so how does that look transitioning from the challenge? Okay, I've gone through the challenge. I have these new practices that I feel are strong and established. I'm dedicating my thoughts and my physical energy into making these goals seem more feasible for myself. How does that then transition into taking you on as a full-time coach?
Yeah, so usually I recommend people do like a free call with me after the challenge. So I'll do like a free 60-minute call called a Life Goals Roadmap call, where we actually dig into these goals a little more specifically, and you get some of that coaching experience in the moment to see what it feels like to work with me and to get value on that call of, hey, like, let's dig into these goals. Let's go a little bit deeper on, what's usually getting in your way and like how does that pattern usually show up in your life? Yeah. Both for these goals and maybe other areas of your life you hadn't thought of. That's always one of my favorite juicy nuggets we get from people is like a lot of people come in thinking, they're stuck in work or something work related. And then when we start talking about it, they realize, oh, I do this, in relationships. I do this in my finances, like all these other areas. And it's a lot of pattern identifying is what I'm doing with people, it's very, very interesting. And I love that. I'm like, give me the juice. Like, let's get in there.
So do you find that these kind of counterintuitive patterns are more often than not existing in multiple facets of someone's life and they're not necessarily just in one?
Oh, yeah. Almost always. It's like the one phrase I love to use in speaking events and with clients is like, how you do one thing is how you do all things. Whether or not you're ready to admit it or see it. And that's the benefit of a coach, is that I can see these things a lot easier than you can see on yourself, because you've also usually done these habits your whole life. And they're just so ingrained in you. They're very automatic, and you don't necessarily see those patterns.
Gotcha. And do you find it's more people either aren't willing to admit it and they're aware of it, or that they are oblivious to it?
It's both. It's both. A combination, yeah.
Both strong combination.
It could be like selective seeing it, like, oh, I only see it in work or whatever, or I only see it in romantic relrelationships. And, then I start digging around, asking other questions, and they're like, uh-oh. There it is.
It's like,
oh, man, damn you, Brittany.
Are you sure this is me? This is somebody else. This is Jeff from across the street.
Yeah,
Damn.
Not me.
So how long can that initial call take with you, when the initial coach call, the goals mapping call?
Life Goals Roadmap call.
Life Goals Roadmap call.
I do 60 minutes with people.
60 minutes, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it could be all day, honestly.
It could be, gotcha.
If I wanted, and if we all wanted, but.
If we all wanted.
If we were all
parties concerned, yes, we can do an extended call.
Yeah, but that probably wouldn't be great for my business to just,
Yeah.
give away free stuff for hours and hours. So
Fair enough.
As much as I would love to for everyone, I have to run a business as well.
Yeah. Very fair. Very fair. So again, hellovelocity.co. Check it out. Do the challenge. I'm going to do the challenge, to be very, very honest. That seems very, very intriguing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely big around the new year, too. That's when I used to just launch it live around the new year and get a bunch of people, and we'll do, like, group calls. So I'll probably do that again this year to get, like, a group of people doing it at once. But now it's also live on the website to do whenever people need it, which is nice.
Gotcha.
Again, trying to be more accessible, approachable, like, meet people where they're at.
Nice. Very nice. Damn it.
The train.
The train. It's not even the same train. I'm still waiting for that first train to come back. This is probably one of my patterns. That keeps me locked in a particular position.
Let's talk more about this.
Let's talk more about this. Dang it. Oh
Dang
my
it, Brittany.
God. So then once you have that initial call, and someone's been like, okay, let's do this. I want to engage with you. I want you to kind of help me make sure I'm meeting the different points on this map that we've discussed. Do you prefer doing in person? Do you prefer like meeting up somewhere? What is your preferred go-to coaching style when you've got someone kind of locked in with you? And I don't want, well, maybe not locked in. That seems suspicious, but like they've agreed to like, okay, I want to engage with you. I want to like connect with you, and I want to help. I want to provide you the opportunity to help me fix my shit. What's your preferred method of like, kind of, do you do like monthly or weekly meetups once you have a client?
Yeah, I do twice a month.
Twice a month.
Right
Gotcha.
now. So I do like 6-month packages with people.
Okay.
So it's definitely a long-term engagement because it is, again, those automatic behaviors are pretty pesky because you've already done them your whole life. So we need that time to really dissect them and kind of put you back together a little bit of like, let's like break everything down, analyze it and look at it from all these different angles, and then like redesign how you want it to go and map out more long-term goals. So yeah, it's twice a month for 6 months, and I do mostly virtual. I was expecting to do more in person, but again, that was March 2020, and then everything quickly changed. But it's been kind of exciting too, because now I have clients like all over, which is like,
nice.
Yeah. So I appreciate doing virtual, and it's been nice too, because I type notes while I'm on calls with people. So it's easier obviously to keep track of what they're saying and reflect it back to them. And I can share the notes with the clients as needed. And then, in person, I feel like it's a little rude to be typing, or, it's distracting to be typing in person. So it actually has worked out better to do virtual.
Right.
And and that just made me think too of like the first person who bought the challenge when I converted it on my website to now it's like on a Thinkific platform, so a course platform. She was in Australia. Like,
nice.
What? That is so cool.
That's insane.
Like,
what is that time matchup like?
Oh my gosh, yeah. We got on a call after she did it, and it was very difficult to figure out the time zone. It was like 6:30 p.m. my time was the next morning, 8 a.m. for her.
Ooh,
the next day.
I'm like, so like 14 hours ahead?
Yeah. Ooh. Like, how's Tuesday
How's
been?
Tuesday so far? What can I expect?
Yeah. What happens tomorrow? Let me know.
Let me know. Like, what news do you already have?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, you should. No, I'm not gonna like suggest gambling, but so when it comes to like breaking down habits, do you use like a yardstick or a spray bottle? I'm just kidding. So what is your approach? Are you very kind of like, you want to kind of prompt the client to not only see, but then direct their energies on breaking down the habits? Or are you very forward, like, this is the bad habit, fix it? I want you to fix it.
Right. I'd say more the former. So my training style as a coach was that I'm not necessarily telling people what to do. Like, I'm not giving advice necessarily. I'm not solving their problems. I'm just here to ask questions and be like curious and explore and like reflect back to them. Like, hey, I noticed you're doing this thing over here, but you say you want this thing way over here, and you keep doing this thing that's moving you further in the opposite direction. Like, what's that about?
Right.
Like, what are you getting from this situation that has you addicted to it, or whatever the pattern is? And then again, like dissecting it. So like getting curious about it. And then it's like, okay, so do you really want this thing over here? And usually it's yes. It's like, okay, then how are we actually going to get there? Like, what do you have to interrupt over here in order to get closer that way? And it's a very gradual usually of like, because most of the times when people try to do this on their own, it's like one extreme to the other. They're like, oh, I'm going to go from not working out at all to go 5 days a week into a gym, and I'm going to go all the time, and I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So let's ease into it and like meet you where you're at, and then map it out over time to like gradually change the habit instead of the all or nothing like most people like to do.
And you mentioned earlier that you've worked with a lot of millennials who are so used to putting their all into these goals, but to a fault because they're not taking care of themselves. So what do you find is kind of the typical or main struggle when you're trying to help them refocus on, okay, let's take all this 100% dedication over here and let's redelegate it to, again, maintaining yourself a bit more, but still keeping that focus?
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle for most people is just prioritizing themselves. They're so used to prioritizing work for the most part or other people, and they don't want to disappoint anyone.
Sure.
I think that's a lot of it that comes in is like they don't want to disappoint their boss. So they're always answering emails, always answering calls, like all the things. They don't have those boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing to learn is how to prioritize yourself and your well-being as a form of accelerating your goals, honestly. Like some people think just doing is what's going to get you there. But again, that's when you burn out and then you have to take time off and you're like slowing yourself down in a different way. So how do we like have that base and foundation to take care of yourself so you have more energy to do the things and also probably do them better than you would if you're just like in burnout mode all the time.
Oh man, I'm definitely guilty of having my work email notifications on during the weekend.
Oh my gosh.
I need to not do that.
You shouldn't even have work notifications on your phone
at all.
Turn them off.
Man, and I'll be like fully conversing like with so like if there's a reason for one of my clients to want to kind of bring the services to an end, I'll hear from the person who sold them their package, right? And I'll be the one who's like, during my lunch break, like we use Teams a lot at work, and I'll just be the one chatting on Teams because I've heard from them, and I should be focusing on my salad. But I'm not. I'm over here like, well, the call went really, really well. I'm not sure what happened between then and 45 minutes, but, and they're like, BC, get off. You're like, my manager will be like, get off your phone. Get off your phone. And don't ask me about it because I'm on lunch too.
Right. Stop.
Because I'll try to have these like work questions like while we're in the middle of like stuffing our faces with pizza and be like, no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that today.
Yeah. At least your manager recognizes it and doesn't feed into it.
Right. I'm such an asshole for doing that.
No.
Oh man, it's hard too. Like it's just like, and again, I'm greener to the job, so it's like I want to make sure I establish myself as productive as possible. Right. And I guess part of me is like, well, if I do this while I'm at lunch or while I'm at home on a Saturday, it'll mean a lot. But at the same time, it's like I get in and I'll let my manager know, hey. So on Saturday, I was like, if you say that you did anything work related on Saturday, I think I will hit you.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that, but that's the mindset. Like BC, like stop.
Enough.
Enough. Yeah. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
But do you find that it's so when it's come to a client who's not working for themselves, but if they're working for a bigger company like that, and they're like, if their concern is that if they don't do these kind of extra mile things because they want to establish themselves to upper people in their company, how would you go about reorienting that?
Yeah, and I definitely see this all the time in people, especially, young professionals early in their careers. They want to go above and beyond. They want to, please everyone. They want to prove like, yeah, I can do this. I can do everything. But that's the slippery slope is when you're doing everything all the time and you take on too much usually. And it's like you let people treat you what is it? I don't know. I'm trying to say something insightful and I lost it, but it'll come back.
Been there.
Another train.
Been there.
Okay. So it's people treat you how you let them treat you.
Yeah.
So if you open those doors, people might take advantage of you. So I would rephrase it of how can you set those healthy boundaries for yourself and, not check work email on the weekends, not do work on the weekends, and frame it that people will respect you more for doing that. Or how can you like level it up in a different way or look at it from a different perspective instead of you have to prove yourself. You're like, no, actually, especially in the work climate right now, like companies are struggling to find good employees. So like just being confident that you're a good employee, you're doing everything you need to be doing, and you're doing a good job is enough.
Yeah.
That is plenty. And then trusting yourself that that'll be enough, and how you show up on a day-to-day basis, Monday to Friday, is all you need. And
Gotcha.
like, contractually, that's literally all you need. Like, you are doing your job Monday to Friday, however, 40 hours a week, whatever it is for you.
Right.
And like, again, our society has put it in our minds that we have to go above and beyond. We have to work, come in early, stay late to prove a point in order to get a promotion. But it's like, you're just dangling that carrot.
Yeah.
You know, the stick with the carrot. You're just like, okay, I got to go for the next thing. I got to go. But yeah, what is that costing you in the short term? And then also in the long term?
Gotcha. Now, have you found that within a particular industry that a client's trying to be in, or a particular kind of goal, are there certain ones that you find are harder for them to break? Like, say, someone who's trying to run their business versus someone who's trying to live a healthier lifestyle, or versus somebody who is simply trying to be more consistent with something. Like, do you find that there are certain goals or certain types of goals that tend to be a bit more rooted in difficulty? Was that redundant? Challenge. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, that works. I don't know if there's like a specific one that really stands out, because, yeah, I work with people in all different industries, all different careers, all different titles. And I guess it would come back to what we talked about earlier, is that people learning to prioritize their well-being is usually the hardest, because and I think it might be a millennial thing that we have this like a lot of us have this overachieving and like perfectionism and people pleasing, where we're always just doing for other people. So when it comes to that, like taking care of themselves, slowing down, or their health or food, like any of that stuff can be more difficult, because when work gets busy, it's the first thing to go is taking care of yourself.
Right.
Because work always comes first. So it's really like rehashing those priorities are the hardest.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's time to move into some submissions and see some stories. I should be in the habit of reading these more, because sometimes the grammar is not quite on point, but I do like to be surprised. Well, there has been one time where the surprise was a little dark, but
oh boy.
So we'll see what happens today.
All right.
Let's see here. All right, so this seems like an interesting title here. Was this interview creepy, or am I overreacting?
Oh boy.
First impressions are always great. Okay, so I had my final interview with a startup today. The interview was with the CEO. He's 24 male, and I'm a 22 female. During the interview, he asked me the usual what questions do you have for me questions. So I asked about the long-term goals of the company and development of the role as the company grows. He answered about the growth portion, but then said, for example, there's another manager who looks just like you. She promoted very quickly. I say she looks like you because she's beautiful just like you. You should take it as a compliment. I got creeped out, understandably. He then asked me what my goals were. He said, for example, I want to grow this company X amount. I want to find a long-term girlfriend and buy a house. Okay. He said that about, he said, hold on. What? So then I said, I want to become a manager and in the very long term, a director. And he said, yes, but how about your personal goals? Then I said, oh, well, I do blank for my hobby. I want to grow more in that skill. He says, no, like, how about your family goals? Then I said, what do you mean? He said, do you want to provide for your family, buy a house? Then I said, I do want to buy a house. Then I pretty much didn't ask any other questions because I really wanted to be done with the interview. Understandable. Am I overreacting, or was this super creepy? I think it was super invasive.
Yeah, that was so inappropriate.
Like, I don't know what the laws are across the states, but I think kind of bare minimum is like you can't delve into certain aspects of someone's non-professional oriented life.
Right. Yeah, like
so,
the beautiful thing was a big red flag. And then the family goals, I'm like, is that illegal to ask that?
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't know the exact rules, but I know you can't ask about, like, being pregnant and things like that.
Right.
But it was close to that of, like, do you want to provide for your family? It's like,
right.
What does that mean?
It's like, honestly, when she said family goals at first, I was like, is he, like, looking for a girlfriend while he's interviewing people?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Like, he shouldn't have brought up, he said, like, he's looking for a girlfriend and wanting to buy a house. Was that? he shared that in the interview?
Yeah.
Okay, also inappropriate. Like, do not take this job.
Don't take the job. Pretend like you never spoke to him. Find something else.
Do not accept him on LinkedIn. Cut the cord.
Cut the cord. Yeah, not worth it.
Not okay.
All right. Is it wrong to ask for this? I work at a poorly managed hotel. Been there. Management is rarely there. Regular staff is there more than they are. Ownership is pissed off. I never get weekends off. I had to fight and claw my way to the AM shift. I have seniority, and I am the lowest paid worker on the front desk area, but I am expected to work on all these projects. Am I going to be getting my kids? I'm going to be getting my kids every other weekend. I mentioned it a few days ago, and I was questioned why I needed it. Management might come by for 2 or 3 hours, but most of the time they are off. I like this hotel. It was great. It has great potential, and if it was properly ran, if there was structure and the backing of the staff, it wouldn't be a huge. If there was structure and the backing of staff, it would be a huge improvement. I keep getting these signs I need to leave, but it's not feasible at the time. What do you think of my request? I am tired of putting my job over my family. Well, if you don't get weekends off, when do you have off? Firstly.
Yeah.
Granted, I was a concierge a couple of positions ago, and I got 2 days off a week, but they were like random and typically in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
So like Tuesday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Friday, I would get off. But no, I don't think that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's not really a weekend off. Especially if you're like not co-parenting, but like you've got like split custody of the kids.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a custody thing. So I'm like, especially if that's mainly the only time you get with your kids. Yeah, right. That is your priority. So make it known, and if they can't compromise with that, then I would recommend finding something else.
This is my wake call time, my wake call music. Pre-employment drug test. What if I have an RX? I'm not sure what an RX is actually.
Prescription?
Maybe.
Oh, or like medical marijuana.
Oh, okay,
or we
maybe.
can listen to the question.
Wasn't there like an app called something RX where like you found like cheaper rates for
Good
like over the counter? Good RX. There we go.
So good.
So I don't know. Okay. So hi all. I'm going through the hiring process for a job I'm really excited for. I need to take care of a pre-employment drug test. All right. I don't use drugs, so I'm not worried about it. However, I do have a prescription for clonazepam. Sure, for panic attacks, and I think that's one of the drugs they test for. I'm afraid this will hold up the hiring process, and I won't be able to start my expected start date. Has anyone experienced this before? Any advice on how to navigate this?
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that there were certain drugs they could test for that were like legal.
Yeah.
Like a prescription. I've never heard of that. That
right.
is a little bizarre to me, and also a bit of a red flag for me if they're going to target you for having
panic attacks.
Yeah. Or like any sort of mental illness where you need a drug, like that seems very inappropriate. Again, like,
right.
Is that even legal?
That's a good one too. And I wonder if it's if they test for that specifically, or if there's a chemical in it that can be found in other illegal drugs.
Right.
But I'd also think I don't think there should be any issue with you letting them know, hey, I do happen to have panic attacks, so I do take this. Mm-hmm. So I will let you know that if I take a drug test like this will show up, and I can prove that I have a prescription. Yeah. So that it's not like blindsiding you and you're like, what is this?
Right. Yeah.
But otherwise, Yeah, I
was going to say the same. Like, just be upfront with them. And that's something I've heard even actually with a manager who wasn't able to hire someone he really liked because he failed a drug test for marijuana. And he said to me, he's like, if he would have just came to me before and be like, dude, I won't pass a drug test, he would have been okay with it. But because he wasn't upfront with it, then they weren't able to do anything about it.
Damn.
So it's like, always be honest. That's always my recommendation. Honesty is the best policy.
Honesty is the best policy. Okay. Any advice on getting a significantly higher paying job? 24 male, currently feel very stuck at my job. Things were going good, then I switched shifts and stagnated. I'm currently at $23.57 an hour, but I know I'm worth significantly more. First of all, I would love $23.57 an hour. I'm just saying. I don't think it's realistic for me to get above $30 an hour at my current company. I've been working at a vacuum heat treat facility. I started at data entry, moved to a company-wide floater team lead, then back to data entry on a different shift. I see posts and stories all the time of people who are double their salary. How did you make that happen? How can I put myself in the right place, right time, situation to get an offer? How do you get offers? I've been at this company for 6 years. I only have a high school degree, and going back to school is not really an option at the time.
Interesting. What I keep hearing from people who are getting big raises is that they are shopping around at different jobs. So I'd say, first of all, do your research on like Glassdoor or whatever for rates and salaries and all of that, and learn, is it possible in your field? And it sounds like he might have already done that research.
Yeah.
So then I keep hearing of people doing this, like you go somewhere else, get interviewed, you get a new job offer that is way higher, and then you bring it to your current boss, be like, hey, I could leave and get this salary somewhere else or this rate, so can you match it? Or, but you have to be ready to leave if you're going to do something like that.
Right,
but
yeah.
I keep hearing people having really good success with that, even though I used to think it sounded a little shady at first, but in this market, again, this is kind of what you have to do is know your worth and get paid your worth.
Yeah. I've even seen people talk recently about like how, and I've had companies who put me through like 5-6 different interviews for one job. And it's a typical thing not to learn about even just that compensation until a couple of interviews in.
True.
And I've seen a lot of people talk recently about how just like when they reach out to you, like if you're on Indeed, like you'll be reached out, or like someone will say, "We think you'd fit this job. Would you want to apply?" And then they're like, ask them right then and then, how much does it pay?
Yeah. Is it even worth my time to go through the interviews? Like, what's the range, or,
Like 6 interviews, like.
That's so much time.
We could have fixed this 2 weeks ago. Let's not do that. Let's just be like, let me know if I want to be here.
Right.
And I'll prove to you that I should be here.
Yeah,
Let's cross those I's and dot those T's early on.
Yeah, and it's usually HR that's reaching out, and they're the ones that have those ranges at least. So it's like, give you an idea.
And if they don't, well, then it's like, well, you probably don't have your stuff together. I probably don't want to work here anyway.
Yes.
Find somebody else. Thank you.
Thanks,
paid holidays off questions. Hey there, I started a new job and was offered 9 paid holidays and 2 floating holidays. The company recognizes the following 9 holidays: New Year's, MLK, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, after the Black Friday, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. Does this mean that I get all 9 of these holidays off with pay even if I'm not scheduled to work that particular day? My schedule is Monday through Friday and every 3rd Saturday. Thank you in advance. So they offer 9 paid holidays. They recognize those 9 holidays and 2 floating holidays. Does this mean I get all 9 of these holidays off with pay even if I'm not scheduled to work that particular day?
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working Monday to Friday, I don't understand why you wouldn't be scheduled to work that day.
Right.
I guess that's the piece I'm a little confused on, but yeah, paid holiday means you get paid to not be there.
Right. And it seems like they already know what those 9 paid holidays are going to be. So it sounds like you get 11 holidays. Just pick which 2 you want, honestly.
Yeah, the 2 floating ones. So. Yeah, and usually if it's like 4th of July is on a Sunday, usually they'll then give you like Monday off.
Right. Does this mean that I get all 9 of these holidays off with pay even if I'm not scheduled to work that particular day? That is a weird question within that. It's like, well, I think if you're not scheduled to work that day, it's because it's a holiday. No one's probably scheduled to work that day.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
I wonder if there's more to it. Like sometimes, unless you otherwise would be scheduled that day, which doesn't. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think you're good.
We might need a part 2.
We might need a part 2 for that. This one says, normalize not thanking companies for laying you off. What is that?
Oh.
Okay. Hard to believe, but today I got the call that I am part of the next layoff from IBM. Initially, I cried. It's hard to not think I could have done better. It's hard to realize it's not my work performance that is the case. Secondly, I don't want to leave IBM. I have learned so much in the security space and admire the hardworking people that I have met here. Thank you for this opportunity, IBM. Not exactly ready to step away. Lastly, I am now open to work. I appreciate any help from my network and hope to find a great opportunity for my next step in my career. Thank you in advance to anyone who likes, comments, or shares opportunities with me. You don't know how much I appreciate your assistance. Please feel free to reach out via LinkedIn or at... Okay. It's a picture screen share, not a typed out thing, which is new.
Oh, okay.
Wait, so... Normalize not thanking companies for laying you off. I don't think I've ever thanked a company for laying me off.
Right.
Unless it's like, no, I don't think I've ever thanked a company for laying me off.
Right.
Now, granted, I've been told in the past, like, if you do get laid off, find a moment to, like, thank somebody for the opportunity. But, like, that's for the opportunity, not for the laying off part.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's just weird language again, but it's like... Yeah, I see how people thank them for the, all the things they've learned since working there and like the opportunity to have worked there.
Right. And like, it's one thing I think if it's like, you've been through interviews, you've spoken with people in person and they don't pick you for the job. I have a habit of like thanking them for the chance to speak with them in person.
Yeah.
So they get like a gauge of me in person, how I could be on the job, but I'm not going to thank somebody for firing me. No, thank you. Was I unprofessional here? So I've been at this job for 1 year and 4 months. I got a way better job offer yesterday, the city I went to college in. Where I work, there is only one HR lady. Where I work, there's only one HR lady's. That's weird. When I found out I was leaving, I went to her office. She had just left. The owner of the company, who is my supervisor, is off on Tuesdays. So I sent her and the owner a text message in the group chat by giving my 2 weeks notice. I then sent an email to my coworkers saying pretty much the same thing. That was yesterday. They said I should have told them in person or called them. I explained why I didn't. The owner was off and I thought the HR lady was driving somewhere else. They both asked me why I was leaving. I told them I'm not currently happy living where I am. Today I went to speak with the owner on my accord since her and the HR were being a little hostile. I told her sorry to find out that the way that she did, and I explained I did it in the way I did because it was time sensitive. I also said thanks to everything and explained that I was leaving because I didn't like living where I was. The owner chewed me out for giving him 2 weeks of the rest of the staff, saying HR had to do it. She implied it was unprofessional and that it would burn bridges if I did that in future jobs. You need to watch the way you communicate, were her exact words. I just said sorry to move on. Oh, to move on the conversation. Okay. I'm in my time where I saw HR sending that email, but I didn't think it was a big deal. The wording was off, but okay, so I think the big thing here is that the owner and the HR lady didn't like how she submitted her 2 weeks, which seemed to be the only option she had at the time, especially if it was time sensitive. And I guess the owner didn't like her letting her coworkers know that she was putting her 2 weeks in, which I don't see an issue with that personally.
Yeah, I guess that would be, I think the iffy part is sharing with everyone else before you've made it kind of official with like the owner or your boss.
Gotcha.
Like I feel like they usually have to it has to come through HR
Mm-hmm.
because you never know all the other things that may be changing. They may have to, I don't know, time it differently. I don't know. When I've left several jobs, it's always that they will announce it that I'm leaving, and usually sometimes they wait till like that day or they'll do a week out or something. But it's, there's always you got to think there's 100 million different moving parts on the back end that they're trying to manage too. So maybe someone else is leaving too.
Gotcha.
And they hadn't announced that. So I think they're just from a communication standpoint, they want to be in control of the message. And I think that's the only iffy part. But I think texting them because you couldn't get a hold of them, they were off. I think that's fine.
That's totally fine.
It's, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
At least you told them too.
Well, those are the submissions for today. Yeah. I really appreciate you being in here on a Saturday. Again, got the caffeine in you, so I think we were strong throughout the episode. I had no caffeine. Obviously, I'm still waiting for that first strain to come back. I'm not even sure what that was about initially. Yeah. Before we hop off, do you have any kind of last minute thoughts on how people should go about navigating their careers, how they should go about putting or delegating their time and their efforts into different facets of their personal life via their work life, and how important having that kind of delegation is?
I mean, again, this could be a whole conversation in itself or a whole episode in itself. But I say what's most important is like staying true to yourself and your values, what's most important to you, and using that to help navigate your career, to help navigate your priorities and like what you focus on, both on a day-to-day basis and a long-term basis. And I think then you're good to go. And the other thing I thought of too for people earlier in their careers is just, you don't have to put yourself in a box of like, I am this one thing. You know, people go to college, and we were talking about this a little bit, of like for one specific thing. And then if you don't get a job in that one specific thing, people tend to feel like they're a failure or something's wrong. It's like, maybe you can be multifaceted. That's okay. Like you can have a lot of interests and do a lot of different things and gain experience from one industry, go somewhere else. Like, it's totally okay. So again, just kind of listening to yourself, what your needs are, your values are, your strengths are, and then using those for your decisions.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to have you in here again. You are definitely a very fun guest, and I think their avenue of your work is kind of the quintessence of the audience for this show. So I definitely want to have you in the chair again and kind of further delve into your work and speak on behalf of millennials and how they're trying to engage their lives. Thank you again, Brittany, for being here on a Saturday. I really appreciated you spending some time with me and giving some really honest and great feedback to the audience and delving into your work, which I think is fantastic. Again, head over to hellovelocity.co if you want to check out Brittany and look into her work. She's got an awesome blog there. Check it out. She's also got a lot of resources for you to make use of. I'll connect with her, and I will list her preferred follow methods on the description if you're in YouTube and watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, give us a follow and give us a like, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.